Okay, so today I want to talk to you a little bit about how to draw a circle in perspective. And I feel like this is always a challenge with anyone, especially my students who are first learning how to draw. My classes are usually focused on observational drawing, and I almost always see students draw certain items. So let's say like a mug, a coffee mug like this with straight angles. Now, because they're looking at observation, they're probably seeing that mug on an angle. And what they've produced is something out of proportion and out of perspective. So what they need to do is create the mug with curves, as opposed to those straight hard edge lines. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about how to create that circle in perspective to give your curves the correct observation that is needed. Okay, so one thing to always remember is that just in perspective, when we're doing our squares, our angles, our curves are always going to be parallel with each other. That top curve is going to be parallel with the bottom curve. So let's do a refresher on our squares. So when we're making a box, our parallel lines or our lines in space that are our outer angles and edges are always parallel to each other. So that means this line here is parallel to this line, and this line here is parallel to this line, even if we can't see it. And the top line is parallel to the other top line, and that top line is parallel to the bottom lines. So then we end up with a box with clear, crisp edges that gives us the illusion of a true box in proportion, in perspective, correctly in space. Now, if we were to draw it out of perspective or with incorrect angles, where our lines are not parallel to each other, we end up with something that's kind of wonky and doesn't quite look right. And the way you correct that is correcting those connecting lines from one corner to the next. And that's going to correct your perspective. Okay, so once you have that understanding and that grasp of working in that square cube format, it's going to be a lot easier when you translate your square into circles. So the way you do this is very simply, you draw a square as if you would if you were in, say, 1 point perspective, and you divide that square into 4 parts. And then you try to draw, now this is just freehand, you draw your circle equally with equal pies, 4 pies, within that square. And then what you end up with is your circle straight on in perspective within that box format. Now, if we were looking at it from an angle, looking at the say a mug in front of us, we have to determine if we're looking from above or from below. Now here, if we were establishing our horizon line, first thing we do is decide, okay, am I looking at the mug in an ant's eye view, which means looking up, or am I looking down on the mug, which is a bird's eye view? So once you've established that, then you can determine where your circle is going to need to be. Now, you go ahead and divide that trapezoid into 4 equal parts, the best you can. And this does take practice. And you establish your parallel lines going downward And then you want to make sure that your curve is parallel. Your top curve is parallel to your bottom curve. And once you've done that, then you can start establishing the dimensionality through tone. And you can also start erasing all the guide marks that you have made as well. Okay, so I'm going to do it again and kind of show you how I would tackle it in a observational sort of way, just as I'm sketching very quickly and getting a basic idea of the object in front of me. And I've sped up the drawing process just so that we can see the results as quickly as possible. Okay, so I hope that this helps you in gaining a better understanding on how to approach really simple objects like mugs or vases, or even water bottles. The more you do this, the more you will intuitively be able to respond to curves in real life, and you'll be able to correct yourself a lot faster when you see issues arise in your drawing. Okay, I hope this helps. Till next time.